This is Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
Here we go. Look at them go down. What some would call history in the making.
Scary. Don't say that.
We have never been down 1,000 points ever, not even intraday on the NASDAQ.
Bidenomics is working. It's working.
The stock market just taking a big old nosedive this morning.
Dow Jones is down about 1,010 points.
That is called Bidenomics.
The Dow fell more than 600 points Friday on a weaker than expected jobs report.
5%. Meta, 6%. Amazon, 6%. Apple, 9% down.
Bidenomics is working.
Fears of a recession began after Friday's disappointing July jobs report.
Bidenomics is working.
A rise like that is historically a sign that a recession is imminent.
This is Bidenomics.
What you're seeing right now in the stock market is what Americans have been feeling for the last 3 years. It's just a manifestation of it right now.
All that is called Bidenomics.
If you're in the stock market, if you care about your paycheck, you go with Trump.
If you care about your paycheck, you go with Donald Trump. Prophetic words by none other than Jim Cramer from CNBC. I was shocked that Jim Cramer actually went there. I don't know if he was trying to be demeaning to people who have to work for a paycheck or not, which is entirely possible. He could have been looking down his nose and said, us people here who make millions of dollars, we don't really need to depend upon Donald Trump to do anything. However, if most Americans who work for a paycheck, you need to go with Donald Trump. We're going to talk about a number of different stories today because I have so much to cover. I stepped on some toes earlier this morning when everything broke about what was going on with the stock market, and I realized a lot of people just don't care. They don't know how it affects them. They're out there doing their TikTok dances and doing all that crap, and they don't know. They just simply do not know how this all affects their bottom line. So to them, it's just, okay, so you lost, what was it, 2.6% today. So if you had $1,000 on the stock market, which very few people only have that, okay, so you lost $26. What's the big deal? I saw people saying that all day today. All day. And I just didn't understand how, people were so cavalier about the market tanking, and I realized that's because it's up here. People don't explain the financial markets to people, and I don't have all the time to do it, so I tried to outline it this morning, and some people got upset. And there was a few Harris fans in here, supposedly, don't know who they are, who got upset because it's no big deal. One guy actually said, it's boring. And I'm like, wow, I've never been in a position, nor do I want to be in a position where money is boring. He actually said that, this thing has just turned really boring at this point. He's talking about money. Whew. Wow. That's where we are. Excuse me, what was that? That's where we are as a country at this point. It's amazing to me. We're lost if that's the case. If people are that far into the socialist communist agenda, we're lost as a country. They have basically taken a candidate who wasn't a candidate and turned her into the second coming of sliced bread. She got 0 votes, and then when she ran as the president, she got bounced out before the first primary. And so now, somehow, she's been absolutely magically remade, transformed, if you will, into the greatest candidate ever. And it's all because of the media. The media is making out Kamala Harris to be fantastic. And as I said earlier today, if you haven't seen that video, go ahead and watch it. But as I said earlier today, these are people who got hurt today. These are people whose companies that they work for got hurt today. Comcast, which owns NBC and, of course, MSNBC. They got hurt. They lost money. Their companies lost money. And if you turn down any of their stations or any of their shows, Trump sucks. Everything's fine. Don't worry about it. That's how bad it is. That's how far in the tank they are. So it's going to be incumbent upon us to basically get the word out and continue to get the word out as long as the guys upstairs allow me to talk about it. because this is really bad and people don't understand or don't care. It may be a factor of both. They may just not care. Barry, stop talking about this. Life is fine. Football season starts in a couple of weeks. College football starts, I think, next weekend. Everything's fine. Don't worry about it. Bread and circuses. If you haven't heard the term, look it up. You deserve to understand what is happening in America right now. The shiny object rules. And you've got the media basically just gaslighting every possible person that would suck up to them and let them know everything is fine when it's not. And I'm going to show you a couple things tonight and prove to you it's not. But I understand that the only people who have any interest in this are the adults in the room. The younger group doesn't seem to get it. Eventually, you're going to have to pay bills. Eventually, you're going to have to, hopefully, provide for a family. I understand the white dudes for Harris were saying, I don't want to deal with the toxic masculinity of providing for a family and protecting them. Don't worry, dude. You've put that on the internet. I don't think you're going to have to worry about that. But the rest of you who didn't realize what you had got yourselves into, you're going to have some woman having a second thought about you. Like, what? You don't want to take care of me? You don't want to take care of my kids? You want to protect us? That's who Kamala Harris wants to basically have support from? Eunuchs? Because you have to be quite the eunuch if you think that's okay. If you don't know what a eunuch is, have some fun when you end up Googling that. That's just going to be, going to be a little bit shocked about that. But in any event, checking the final numbers for today, and it looks like the Dow finished at negative 1,033.99, a drop of 2.66. Let me see if I can put that up on the screen for everyone to gander at. There it is right there. Negative 1,033 and down 2.6%. Some people just think it's not a big deal. You don't realize what's happening then. If you don't think it's a big deal, what's happening? So Barry, why are you talking about it again? Well, I'm talking about it again because for some reason, the stock market tanks. The world's on fire. We don't know what's going to happen. Somebody took a shot at the president. You tried to put in this new candidate, and neither the president nor the candidate chose to even come to a podium today. Nothing. Zippo. Like it never even happened. And nobody even talked about it. And you got people trying to convince people that this is somehow normal. I even saw Neil Cavuto going, oh, we've had stock things that have fallen before. They've come back. No big worries. Have you had everything at the same time? Have you had the volatility index? Have you had the sell-off? Have you had wars? Have you had everything at the same time around the world? I'm going to say no. At least not in the last couple of years. At least not in the last 30 years. Well, Barry, how can you be so confident of that? Well, I'm going to show you. There's this thing, and it's called let me push the button here. It's called the Volatility Index. This is a term most of you probably aren't aware of. Maybe you saw me talk about it earlier this morning. And this is what happens when the markets go south. Not just when the markets go south, but when the markets feel like, hey man, there's something really bad going on, and we're not really sure what exactly is going to happen. So we need to make sure. We need to really find out what's going on in the market so we can do something about it. It hasn't happened let me just look here and make sure I've got the right image here for you guys. Yes, I do. All right, so since 1990, which is 34 years ago, probably longer than some of you people have been alive, we have a index right now that is spiking. This right here is to the daily chart. If I go back and look at, let's say, 3 years, that's where we were this morning. It's higher than any time in the last 4 years. It spiked back when we were talking about the pandemic, and it went way up. It was at 82. Then back in 2008, when we had the financial crash, it was up to 80. This morning it was at 65, but it has dropped back down to 30, 39. What was that number? Let me just make sure. 38.57. Still well above any time in the last 30 years, except for those other two moments. So understand, we are at a fear factor level 3. Level 2 was a 2008 crash. Level 1 was during the pandemic, and now we're at basically level 3. That's how far gone this market is, and nobody's paying attention. This article, which obviously isn't a right-wing website, this is from Reuters. And it says, the Wall Street fear gauge logs record jump as investors bet on more turbulence. I'm just going to stop there for a second. I want to talk to you about that headline. That headline says, more turbulence. More, as in more to come. Nobody said, okay, we got through Monday. Everything's going to be okay now. We're going to be good. Which is what a lot of people in the mainstream media want you to think. They want you to say, hey, listen, we got through it, and I think everything is going to be okay. Well, not necessarily, because the traders and people who know and are working in financials say that more to come. And why are they so sure that there's more to come? Let's take a look at this. It says, Wall Street's most watched gauge of investor anxiety. I want to stop there again. It's the most watched gauge indicator that most people never hear of. If you go ahead and do a search on Google and put Volatility Index CNN, Volatility Index MSNBC, Volatility Index Fox News, you won't find many, if any, searches, or results rather. You just won't find it. People never talk about it. This is one of those bat phone things where people look at it and go, whew, hey man, this just came out. It's not looking good. What the hell do we do? So it says Wall Street's most watched gauge, for people who actually do this stuff for a living, logged its largest ever intraday jump on Monday and closed at its highest since October 2020. As traders scrambled to hedge against market volatility during a global sell-off fueled by U.S. recession fears. The CBOE, which is the volatility index, jumped at a high of 65.73 before the market opened, came down about 42 points from its close on Friday, and the index paired gains and closed at 38.57, its highest close in 4 years. So you're probably sitting there going, Barry, what the hell are you talking about? I have no idea what a volatility index is. A volatility index is basically a, what do you call those things? A Geiger counter that tells you when you're getting close to radiation. So imagine you're walking down the street and the Geiger counter's just doing okay. There's no real radiation. Oh, there's a little microwave stuff. And all of a sudden it starts going bing, 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 bing. That's what the volatility index is for the financial world. It starts pinging going, oh crap. Uh-oh, something's about to happen. If it's the leading indicator for all of the financial markets, let me ask you a question. If it's that important, if it's basically the alarm going off that hell's about to break loose, how is it that neither the president or Kamala Harris even mentioned where we are financially? Why did they completely ignore it? Because they don't want you to focus on what's happening. They want you to focus on stuff that's not important. They need you to focus on bread and circuses. There's a reason they're hiding this woman. There's a reason they won't let her get anywhere near an unscripted microphone. You're going to read what we tell you to read, when we tell you to read it, where we tell you to read it, and that's it. You're going to shut your mouth and get off. That's it. You're done. Don't say anything to anybody. Just walk away. Just call it a day. And that's where we are with this president and vice president. You got that senile one, and you got the hiding one number 2, because now she's doing it as well. And the only person, and I don't mean to pat myself on the back, but it seems like the only person who's telling you truth is me. I've looked around at all the YouTubers that cover Trump. Maybe they have a younger audience. Maybe they have people who aren't interested in finance. And I'm wondering, why is nobody else looking at this thing? It's the highest it's been for 30 years, 34 years, except for 3 times, or 2 times rather. 1, the pandemic, and 2, the 2008 crisis. So if we're at DEFCON 3 financially, why is nobody paying attention? You got to ask yourself that question. The media is ignoring it. There's only a few people out there, economists are like, we just hit the 3rd rail. And they keep talking about recession fears. Looks like a recession. No, we're in a full-blown recession. There are other indicators that show you that. They don't want to report it. So I just feel it's incumbent upon myself to speak to people and say, do something. Let people know. Don't get caught flat-footed. Don't be the one that goes to the bank and can't use the ATM. Do you know why? Let me just tell you. Do you know why things didn't get worse today? And you know what? I'll take a few comments and we'll talk about that. Does anybody know why it didn't get worse today? It didn't get worse today because they turned off simultaneously, coincidentally, most of the major brokerages. Oops, our computers aren't working. Oops, you can't put in a sell order. Oh, we're trying to get it back online. Oh, we're going to try. But you're telling me Schwab and TD Ameritrade and some of these people, their computers went down during one of the worst sell-off days in history? And that's supposed to be just a coincidence? Because if more orders had hit the exchange, how much further would it have dropped? And they're basically pumping brakes and they're trying to do things. It's all a game. You have to know that. There was one guy this morning who said, I tried to make a trade. He couldn't do it. Couldn't log on to his account. Sorry. Come back later. We'll talk to you soon. Call customer service 1-800. Good luck. That actually happened while we were talking this morning. People were like, I can't even get into my account. Why do you think that happened? Don't tell me. I'm not saying how. Why do you think all of a sudden all these brokerages just went dark? Coincidence? Really? Are you really at this point thinking stuff just happens? Yeah. It's a weird world. No, it's not a coincidence, and I'm not putting on an Alex Jones hat. I told people this morning about looking at indicators and understanding what's been happening and everything else. And I said that the Federal Reserve was probably going to do an emergency rate cut just to try and placate people and just try to see if they can get everything back on an even keel. They can't. They won't. They're going to do smoke and mirrors to try and fool you, to get you to relax. It's okay. Everything's fine. We don't have any oil in the strategic reserve, but don't worry about that. We're not going to talk about that in the news anymore. Really? No. Not like there's anything going on in the Middle East, right? No, right. Don't want to talk about it. Let me see what you guys have to say. Okay, well, I'm not talking about slavery. MAGA go Trump. Dry run for our version of 1929 incoming. You know, people... I'm looking at some of the comments, and let me just get off track for a second. When I was making videos and basically going after Dementia Joe, we didn't see these kind of trolls. They get 1 or 2, but it wasn't like this. Kamala Harris has basically activated a troll army to go out there and try and shut everybody up from saying what they're saying about her. That's one of my Geiger counter moments. Oh, you must not be doing well. You need artificial people going out there, bots, doing all kinds of different things, trying to spam different kind of chats, just so you could make yourself look better. And she's running ads all over my videos, which I don't care, because thank you. But the thing is, you have to realize that you are being attacked. I'm not a fearmonger. You see it. There's been an uptick in the trolls. They need to shut you up. They need to shut me up because they don't want you focused on what's really going on. They'll never engage with you intelligently because if you say to them, hey, listen, this is the third worst day in economic history in 34 years, and the volatility index is just below the pandemic and just below 2008. Why do you think that's happening, kid, sir, ma'am? They won't know the answer. They won't say anything. They'll just say, oh, you're a stupid butt, blah, 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 blah. Okay, that tells me you have no idea. You're not armed to get into a conversation with an intelligent person. And the other thing I notice about her trolls, this is really, really interesting because I see it more on Twitter than I do here. They're almost all white. Almost every single person I have engaged with that's basically trolling for Kamala Harris is white. So that tells me the polls are crap. Absolute crap. Give the presidency back to Trump now. All this was planned to burn it down on their way out. Yeah, and you know what the last thing they'll probably do is just name her the president. That would be the burning down on the way out. Joe would step down, name her the president. And what happened? Oh, here's a good question. I don't know if they'll let me say it, so you guys may have to read it. And what happens if that country over there gets a major attack? Well, your word is if. It's not an if. It's going to happen. That is another indicator that I was going to get to that. That's why we're not done yet. That's why this slide and sell-off isn't complete. There are still other chips on the board that need to be played to see where this thing goes. People aren't understanding that. If we get into some sort of global nuclear conflict, yeah, poop's going to hit the fan really hard. Thank you for talking the truth, and God bless you. Thank you. I try to. I know some of these people get ticked off. You're right, the bots are really dumb. Some of the stuff they say shows they're really brain cell deficient. Yeah, they try to insult you, not realizing they're insulting themselves. You ever get in an argument with somebody and you're like, come on, man, you're drooling. You're basically drooling all over yourself. Polls only great comment. We're in the storm right now. She has AI creating crowds and probably going to have it write her speeches, figuring a new link to AI, her Bluetooth, so she can respond to real people. It's getting really, really bad. All right, so I'm going to show you something. This one is a video that ran today on Fox. And it's Harris Faulkner, who I respect her, and she's talking to Ari Fleischer about what happened today. Let's check this out.
And we begin with breaking news. American financial markets are spiraling. The Dow Jones, the S&P 500, and the NASDAQ are having their worst day since September 2022. Polls show a big majority of voters say the economy is bad for them. They feel it. Critics say Vice President Kamala Harris will have to answer for yet another crisis as she tries to convince the nation she can actually fix the border, violent crime, high inflated prices on everything, and now the latest crisis, our stock market is in deep trouble. I'm Harris Faulkner. You are in the Faulkner Focus. Major fears at this hour that we are barreling toward a recession.
So
here's a big warning sign.
I want to go ahead and stop there because, again, she said the same thing. Major fears. Recession isn't based on fear. Recession is based on an actual definition. So I'm kind of like wondering, why do people say this when they know it's a defined term? It's like, what is the sum of two numbers? It's not like sort of a sum. It is a sum. It's two numbers that come together and what they equal when you add them or multiply them. So let's take a second here before we go too much further and look at the definition. I should have had this recession definition. Okay. Let me pull this up before I continue with Harris, because that's another thing they're saying in the media that's not really true. A recession, from the National Bureau of Economic Research, a significant decline in economic activity that has spread across the economy and lasts more than a few months. No, that's not the real definition. This, and let's actually, that was what the White House put out. So they're trying, it just lasts for a few months. No, that's not it. Now you go to Investopedia and says, what is a recession? A recession is a significant, widespread, and prolonged downturn in economic activity. A common rule of thumb is that 2 consecutive quarters of negative gross domestic product growth indicate a recession. However, more complex formulas are often used to determine recessions as well. That's a nice big word for government uses different formulas. So 2 consecutive quarters, 2, meaning like it's August, going into the third quarter. January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September. So going back to January, March, if March, quarter one, January, February, March, April, May, and June were both basically negative or went backwards in GDP, you're in a recession. There's no longer any fear. You're there. And now for sure, we're going to be there come the next quarter because of what just happened. So let me continue that.
Last week's hugely disappointing July jobs report. Let's take a look now. And of course, in the foreground of all of this is what we're dealing with today. In the back rearview mirror, part of how we got here. Mm-hmm. Just 114,000 jobs added in July.
What they also don't tell you on the news is who got those jobs. Who actually got those 114,000 jobs? Were they full-time? Were they part-time? Were they newcomers? Or were they natural-born Americans? Most of the jobs have gone to newcomers, number one. Number two, where are these jobs at? Most of the jobs are government jobs. So you're not really seeing a whole lot of job activity for Americans in the open market. Oh, hey, come work for the government. Just come work for the company store. That'll take care of you.
That number is far below what we needed and far below what the Biden-Harris administration estimated of 175,000.
All right, now, I want to break there. Where people start wigging out is the government puts out their own estimation. Hey, we're doing so well, I think we're going to do 175,000 jobs the next job report. And then they basically go back and revise them. And most of the time, they end up revising these estimates downwards. So this comes out last week, or Monday rather, and now what's going to happen is a month from now, you'll see a revision dropping it even lower. It's been that way historically with the Biden-Harris administration. Nobody reports on it. They never report on it. So 4.3 unemployment rate, if you tried to narrow that and said, what's the employment rate just among actual natural-born Americans? And it's higher. It's higher. Now, I want to stop for a second. I got a question here. Barry, please explain how this occurrence affects those that don't invest in the market. Fantastic question. That is an unbelievable question. Everything you do, from the time you wake up till the time you go to bed, is dependent upon market conditions. Barry, what do you mean? Okay. Think about what you do from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to bed. If you're like most people, you get up, you go to the bathroom, you turn on the water, you look for some hot water, you want to take a shower. The hot water requires electricity, or gas, depending on where you live, to heat that water. Then after you start taking your shower, you're actually using soap or shampoo that had to get to a store so you could buy it. Then you dry yourself off with a towel that had to get to the store so you could buy it. Then you brush your teeth and do whatever else, other constitutions you have in the bathroom. But every time you reach for something, as you're reaching, that had to get on a shelf somewhere, which means some company actually had to create it, manufacture it, and ship it. So you're not even out the bathroom yet, and you're touching all these different products that have to get to your home that you purchase at a grocery store or convenience store or at Walmart. Every single one of those things that you touch, every single one of those things is dependent upon market conditions. Whatever the ingredients are for the shampoo or for the soap has to come from somewhere. That company has to, bring us in giant barrels of stuff so we can make your soap. Somebody had to basically get that cotton, whether it was Mike Lindell or whoever, to make your towel. So what I'm saying is, you're like, Barry, I already have it. You have it now. What happens when you go to the store next week? Because now everything that they had to do to get that stuff to you is now more expensive. When people think, oh, it's only 2%. Oh, really? Think about 2% of everything that you're doing and add that on. So it's not like you have $1,000 that in some stock that you lost 2.5% today. No. We're talking about companies that have billions of dollars, and they've got employees, and they've got product, and they've got to move this stuff around the country. And I still haven't left your bathroom. So now you leave your bathroom, what are you going to do? You're going to the closet to get dressed. Oh, clothing. Where'd that clothing come from? How was it made? How did it get to the store? All right, so now that you're dressed, you shuffle off to the kitchen. Oh, let me get some coffee. Let me put it in my Keurig. Let me get that run. Let me put some cream in it. That's what I'm saying. Every single action, what we're doing right now. Somebody had to build this camera. Somebody had to make all of this equipment. Well, Barry, like you said, I already own it. Yeah, but that's not what an economy is based on. Economy is not based upon what you have. The economy is based upon what you're going to go get. The economy is based upon you refilling your par. If you ever worked in a bar or restaurant, your par is, I need to have 5 cases of Budweiser in the cooler at all times, because anytime I can get a run, but 5 is good. I need basically 8 cartons of orange juice. I need 4 dozen of eggs. That's my par. I want to make sure I have that at all times. Well, what's your personal par? How many rolls of toilet paper do you have in your house at any one time before you have to run out and get more? Do I have to remind you what happened in 2020 when all of a sudden you went to the store and like, hey man, where's all the toilet paper? Why is there an armed guard looking at some friggin' toilet paper? Something we took for absolute granted. You went to the store one day and it was gone. And you didn't know when any more were coming. And you drove around town looking for toilet paper. Had to do it myself. Got in the car with the wife. I'm like, what are we going to do? Do you know how I eventually got toilet paper? And I was like, why didn't I think of this? I went to a hotel supply store, where hotels buy it. And I got those big giant wheels of toilet paper. And that's how we got through. So we didn't have to keep going and buying toilet paper. And what did some people do? They went and bought toilet paper and sold it to people. There were people buying toilet paper and shipping it to people. So don't kid yourself that just because you're not in the stock market, that you are not affected by the stock market. Every single thing you do, nothing excluded, every single thing you do is affected by what happens in the stock market. And it doesn't happen today. It's the effect of what happens in a couple weeks. Because when the pandemic first started, there was no problem. Hey, yeah, put on the mask. Hey, let me go to the store, get some food. Let me get some toilet paper. Yeah. And all of a sudden, one day, did y'all miss a truck today or something? No, the trucks already came. Well, why is these shelves empty? Why is there no toilet paper? Well, right now, I still haven't gotten an explanation how there was a shortage in toilet paper. I mean, do you know where did toilet paper go? Why was that the first thing to go? I was like, oh my God, we've turned into cavemen. The most elementary thing that we never think of until you need it, until you go to the shelf and go, uh-oh. What do we do now? And we're going to have to like shave leaves off the tree? Start cutting up a sheet? What are we going to have to do? And you know what was funny about that? And this talks to you about the level of commonality. It didn't matter if you were a billionaire. If you couldn't get toilet paper, you couldn't get toilet paper. You were just like everybody else. Your butt was squeaky or not squeaky. Didn't matter. We were all the same at that point. You walked into a store, if you had your nanny go to the store, you had one of your assistants go to the store, and there was no toilet paper, didn't matter what was in your bank account. You had no toilet paper. It affected everybody. And how do we forget that right now? How do we all have forgotten what that was like? So, didn't mean to get off on a tangent there, but you had a very, very good question that not a lot of people think about and not a lot of people understand. So let's continue.
Now, they've been boasting about jobs. We'll get into that. But right now, we are almost back where we started with them. This is bad. The unemployment rate also surged to 4.3%. And that rise is raising the specter of the Somme rule, which has accurately forecast every recession since the 1970s. Famed economist Claudia Somme herself is now weighing in.
Again, but I had my little light on, so good. Now we're getting into weeds here, talking about this thing called the Somme rule. People are like, Somme rule? What is this, an economics class? If you don't want to be searching for toilet paper, you might want to listen to some of this.
Somme rule in force at this moment.
Get triggered, and if workers don't have paychecks, they can't spend, and then that's the momentum that gets going. So it's the volume is turned up louder than usual on the Somme rule. So I don't look at this and big picture say we are in a recession, but I look at this and I say we're not in a good. We're not headed in a good direction.
It was not looking good. I don't want to say it right now because I know I'm the inventor of it. I'm a scientist and mathematician, and I don't want y'all to freak out right now, but it ain't looking good. Well, what if this was just one day? It was just one day droppage. Get over it. It was just 2.6%. Tell me why people in her position who created the Somme rule, she's no flunky of anybody. She actually wrote up the mathematical thing and put it together. She's from New Century Advisors. She's a chief economist, and she created the rule that everybody goes by. Everybody. You probably never knew her. Never knew who Claudia Somme was. Look up the Somme rule. S-A-H-M, the Somme rule. You're going to get an education on that. So if she's saying, it ain't looking good, she didn't talk about today. It had nothing to do with today. It's not about what happens today. It's about what happens down the road. And no, I'm not being Chicken Little. I'm looking at the numbers. And I'm seeing all this stuff. And I'm jarring people's memory and going, how soon you forgot in 2020. This could be really, really bad. Really, really bad. And it was Bidenomics. So let's go back. Let's continue.
So with all the political ads and claims of big money raised on the left, this is on their watch. And Kamala Harris wants to lead the march from the White House. One Republican strategist says VP Harris cannot avoid this topic.
Yes, she can. Yes, the reason she can is because they are going to allow her to avoid it. If the media doesn't scream like they screamed to get rid of Dementia Joe, she's not going to have a problem. She's just going to slide through it and just ignore it, and nobody's going to push her on it. She don't have a problem until it's too late. until it's too late.
Or her administration's record.
The conditions in the country hasn't changed. They changed out their nominee, but they haven't changed out the inflation. They haven't changed out the economic anxiety that most working families are facing. And that's something she's still going to have to deal with, because she's not an independent actor. She didn't land here, 6 weeks ago on a spaceship and said, hey, I'll take over. She's been sitting right next to Joe Biden for the last 4 years.
Well, it's worse than that, because Joe Biden for the last 3.5, 4 years has been saying that Kamala Harris is always the last person in the room on all the big decisions that affect America.
So when you look, and I watched that CNN panel, that should have tell you, I should maybe link to that. It tells you everything. They're smiling. They don't want to talk about it. Oh, it's no big deal. No, it's nothing. She'll be fine. You'll be fine. Really? I remember not being able to get gas and toilet paper. I remember going to the gas station, and down here, we call it, it's like a hurricane. When there's a hurricane, you can't get gas shipments. You want to see anarchy? When you have to drive all over town at the same time watching your gas meter? When you're calling 7-Eleven? You got 7-Eleven on speed dial. You get a delivery yet? Did you get a delivery? How about you, Mr. Mobley? You get a delivery? And literally, myself and my wife, we would have to call around and say, do you have gas? I've endured living down here through hurricanes and then again through the pandemic, what life turns into once things aren't available. And right now you've got the entirety of the media going, nah, it's okay. Don't worry. You'll be okay.
He owns it. Fox Business's Hillary Vaughn is at the White House. Hillary, this is a tough spot for American workers to be in today.
Harris, it's a really tough spot, and it doesn't seem like the Harris campaign is interested in turning around the way things are going, the direction that they're going in. This is the worst jobs report that this administration has seen since 2021, the first year that Biden and Harris moved into the White House, backtracking progress that the Harris campaign has been bragging about on the campaign trail to voters. They want to own their economic wins, but they want to blame the economic bad on their predecessor. The Harris campaign.
That's going to be kind of hard to do right now. You've been in office for 3.5 years, almost going on 3 3/4 years, and you want to blame what's going on now on Trump? How stupid would people have to be to listen to that? I couldn't imagine if you had a job and you were at your job for 3.5 years, and all of a sudden things didn't go well, and you blame it on the guy who you took his place. That's what the Democrat voter is? That's what the media is? They're just going to try and twist it at this point when we've got all this video, which you saw earlier, with her praising. That's Bidenomics, and we want more of it. Those were her words. This is Bidenomics, and there's more of it. It's stunning to me, absolutely stunning. What's going on?
Spokesperson trying to distract from this poor report, talking about former President Trump's record, saying, quote, Donald Trump failed Americans as president, costing our economy millions of jobs and bringing us to the brink of recession. But we might be on.
How can you even bring up Donald Trump? What kind of master idiot do you have to be to listen to this drivel? With her blaming what's going on today on Donald Trump. I went through this morning. I'll do it quickly here. Did Donald Trump stop drilling? No, you did. You stopped drilling. Did Donald Trump let gazillion newcomers in the country and then give them money that you didn't give Americans? Nope, you did. Your choice. Did Donald Trump shift billions over to that country over there fighting that war without anybody approving it? No, you did. And you could probably go on and on and on that list. And yet they're trying to gaslight people by saying it's Trump's fault. Again, how stupid do her supporters have to be to even think that? You stopped drilling and made us dependent on buying it from Venezuela and all these other places. You brought in tens of millions of people and gave them debit cards and let them have whatever they need to and stay in luxury hotels. That wasn't Trump. You sent billions and billions over to that country over there. You lost $2 trillion in the defense budget. You lost it. You expect everyone in America just to accept that you lost $2 trillion. And the media just nods. Doesn't say anything. Her supporters, don't bring that up. What do you mean they lost $2 trillion? Trump didn't do that. Trump didn't lose $2 trillion. It's pathetic. And I think to myself, man, this must be some sort of unbelievable Orwellian brainwashing going on for people to actually listen to this and digest it.
On the brink of a recession now under Harris's leadership, economists at Goldman Sachs think a recession is more likely than it was before, raising the likelihood from 15 to 25% that we will head into a recession. But Democrats are not doubting their policies. They are confident that they need to keep doing what they have been doing.
All right. So you're going to vote for someone who says after today and what you've been seeing, unabashedly, we're just going to keep doing what we're doing. What? But how can that be a policy?
Is there anything the administration is going to do differently now to work on it?
I mean, you know, it's not a change in course, but it is a, continued commitment to the course that we've been on.
Really? Okay.
Are we in a recession?
We're definitely not in a recession.
But today, Trump's vice presidential pick, Senator J.D. Vance, is...
We're definitely not in a recession. And we're going to just keep on the course that we're going on. He didn't ask her, but the question I would have asked, what course is that? Where is it that you want to drive this ship to? We're all Americans, and we'd love to know what the course is and where you plan on taking things. Because right now, we're looking around going, what in the hell's going on? Our gas prices are nearly double. Stock market poops the bed today. We're in all these different wars. We're sending money all over the place. You're printing it like it's Monopoly. What is the course? Where are you looking to go? What's your objective here? Because the only thing I can see is that your objective is to drive this country over a cliff. There's no explanation how you expect to turn things around. Because you didn't say we're going to make a couple course corrections. You didn't say we're going to just alter. We're just going to keep doing what we're doing. I'm pretty sure if you're getting these kind of results and you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to keep getting what you're getting. And I believe that was called insanity. Just keep doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. That's who we have leading this country?
Calling out Kamala Harris for not showing up today and calming economic fears, posting, quote, "This moment could set off a real economic calamity around the globe. It requires steady leadership, the kind President Trump delivered for 4 years. Kamala Harris is too afraid to answer media questions and cannot lead us in these troubled times." Hashtag where's Kamala. And Harris, it's important to point out that up until this point, the Biden-Harris team had been so confident in how they handled the economy that they named essentially Biden's economic policies Bidenomics. They used his name. It'll be interesting to see if Harris continues to use that phrase Bidenomics on the trail, because it doesn't seem like she's going to offer any new economic policy. She's certainly not going to do a 180.
So where are your trolls at? Where are your trolls at? I'd love to hear what y'all got to say, because, oh my God, you're just going to get more of what you've been getting. We're not changing a thing. Our objective is to stay on course, driving this country over a cliff. There's no reason to have a press conference. There's no reason to answer any questions. It's doing what we want it to do. Don't you people get it? This was our plan all along. They're stating it. That was one of his economics advisor, the Asian woman. She's like, we're just going to keep the course. Oh, and you expect to win an election? The only way you can win an election is by people not being informed. By them looking over here at the TikTok videos and not understanding, hey man, there's a big iceberg ahead, and we're not heading for it. We're taking the ship and running into it. And nobody seems to care. And then when we talk about it, the trolls come out and people say, hey, listen, you're being Chicken Little, you're over-exaggerating. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm just showing you what exactly is happening. I'm showing you what economists are saying. I'm showing you past history, which is a great indicator of future performance. So if 2008 and 2009, the volatility index pinged off the chart and everything was fine, and then 2020, it pinged off the chart, and then today, it pinged off the chart, what does that tell you? You think that's by accident? We've had bad times. We've had bad times in the last 30 years, but only twice has the volatility index pinged. That's it, twice. It didn't even ping during 9/11. Think about that for a second. One of the worst days in American history, and it didn't ping then. So the only two times it has pinged is 2008 when we had the huge collapse, and in 2020 with the pandemic, and then today. So in comparison, you're like, are we looking at the abyss? Yeah. And the Biden-Harris administration are saying, it's fine. That's the course we want to stay on. Silly you. You thought we wanted to change it. No, we want to drive this thing right into the abyss. We haven't killed it yet. You're going to drill? Hell no, we're not drilling. You're going to keep giving money to the other country? Sure. You got more money you're going to give away to newcomers? Absolutely. This is how we're going to do things. So we're going to pay $4, $5, $6 for gas? Maybe. I don't care. I'm being facetious by saying this, but nobody is saying otherwise. Your president and vice president didn't come to the podium today and go, let's talk about this. My fellow Americans, this sucks. We're going to work our way out of it. No, that woman they sent out there said, we're just going to keep doing it. We're just going to keep doing it. I got a question from Gary. Gary says, would this be a good time to invest in Bitcoin type investments? And my answer to that is pretty simple. And it's based upon the word that you're using right there. I don't know if you want to, quote, invest in much right now. What I would be looking to do is basically figure out a way to hedge your bets. Make sure that if things continue going the way they go and the way they're going, that you have some sort of, solid ground to fall back on. You get what I mean? Because right now you don't. Let me just show you what I mean. So there were a couple of I guess we can't even say what they are because they haven't done it yet. But there was a couple of guys that came in from China, and these guys came in from China, crossed the border. They weren't even vetted. Somehow they got into the country, and these people that got into the country, nothing at all here to see, folks. 2 Chinese nationals in the United States illegally stopped at a traffic stop with $250,000 in gold bars on them. Let me just say that again. 2 guys that just happened to come across the border. We're just some po people. We just need to come across the border, please. Yeah, I don't know where I'm from. I'm a refugee. I don't want to be a refugee. You know that Tom Petty guy? Yeah, I'm just trying to make it. Come on in. No worries. A little while later, they find these guys with $250,000 in gold. Gold. Let me ask you, why would 2 guys from China who were refugees, who decided they had to escape and come across the border, and that they were penniless and that our government had to put up, why would they have $250,000 in gold? How did they come across that? Gold's kind of big and bulky. So it's not like they came across the border carrying a sack, so they didn't have it then. But somehow they were able to acquire $250,000 in gold. Next question. Since it's such an unyieldly type currency, asset, why did they have that instead of cash? Why did these guys come across the border with 250,000, or actually they got it here somewhere, why were they in possession of $250,000 in gold? You won't see this on MSNBC. You won't see it on CNN. And I'm like, oh, I know why they have that. Because that is a universal trading asset. Everyone in the world, no matter where, would take gold. They ain't going to take our dollar much longer, but they're taking gold. So in terms of investing, if a unknown, unvetted newcomer decided, somebody said to him, don't get dollars. Don't put $250,000 in a suitcase. Go get $250,000 worth of gold, because we know that's still going to be here when whatever they had planned was over. Whatever these guys had nefariously was going to happen in their mind. Maybe, turning off the stock market so that certain traders couldn't put in orders, whatever. They realized they needed to have gold. That just it gave me chills when I read that article. And it told me that's what I've been telling people here, is to make sure that you are prepared at any level with gold. You know that inflation is still on the rise all across America, and our dollar is being devalued more and more every single day by the Federal Reserve and their massive money printing schemes. So you have to ask yourself, are my investments really safe? I doubt it. Listen to this. Government debt is growing at the rate of $1 trillion every 100 days. Since 2020, every dollar in your wallet has lost 24% of its purchasing power. And in just the last 18 months, what you need to survive as a family, your groceries, your necessities, have gone up by $11,000 per family. These are unsustainable and outrageous numbers. That's why I'm recommending that you call my friends at Lear Capital. They'll show you how easy it is to move some of your assets into gold and silver. Assets that are growing in value instead of keeping them in a dollar, which is declining in value. And as we approach the election, and with all the volatility in the world, now is the time to take some action. Call Lear today at 800-601-5430 or go to learberry.com. When you go to Lear, you'll be able to download a de-dollarization guide. It will show you specifically how your dollar is deflating every single year. There's no obligation, it's just free information. You'll learn how to protect your hard-earned money with gold and silver. Just so you know, Lear has over 27 years of experience, thousands of 5-star reviews, $3 billion in trusted transactions, and is the only company with a 24-hour risk-free purchase guarantee. Call Lear at 800-601-5430 or go to learberry.com. And when you give them a call, ask how you can get $15,000 in bonus gold with a qualifying purchase. So I don't know how these guys were able to basically get more of this gold. Don't understand how they were able to obtain $250,000 worth of gold and decide to, walk it across the border. That's kind of crazy. That's absolutely crazy. $250,000 in gold bars. Packaged gold bars. So if they're getting it, they're getting it for a reason. So let's go ahead and continue with Ms. Harris here in her talk this morning.
Well, it's so interesting that you say that, because as time went on before Biden dropped out of the race, even he had stopped using Bidenomics, because they poll tested that just as everybody has, and they know that it wasn't working for them. But she has continued. I haven't seen her recently. Maybe she'll also stop using that word. Great to get the first report from you, Hillary. Thank you very much. New Fox polling shows the economy is by far the most important thing to voters right now in 4 key battleground states.
Okay, I got to stop this. I got to stop it there. If the polls you see every week, and don't forget Friday is my poll show. If the polls you see every week show that Harris is growing. She's gaining. Oh man, you can't believe how much she's doing against Trump. Yet, the number one issue in the country is the economy. If the economy and immigration are the top two issues, how in the hell can she be ahead? Look at that. That's Michigan, Minnesota, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. Top issue is the economy. How can she be ahead if she's getting destroyed by Trump with the economy and the immigration? Those are the top two issues right now. How can she possibly be ahead of Trump? Let's continue.
Minnesota, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania, a state in which both candidates, Trump and Kamala Harris, have been spending some time in, mainly Trump at this point because obviously he's been running longer. And he knows where the problem areas are in the economy and can hit those hard when he's on the ground. We'll see how she can do it. The issue is so important, in fact, it basically doubles their second pick, immigration. So immigration we know is huge. The economy now, especially on a day-to-day like today, reigns supreme in Wisconsin and Pennsylvania, a state in which both candidates, Trump and Kamala Harris, have been spending some time in, mainly Trump at this point because obviously he's been running longer. And he knows where the problem areas are in the economy and can hit those hard when he's on the ground. We'll see how she can do it. The issue is so important, in fact, it basically doubles their second pick, immigration. So immigration we know is huge. The economy now, especially on a day-to-day like today, reigns supreme among voters. Another recent national poll shows only 1 in 4 voters say they feel that our economy is...
So 75% of the people they've polled, 75%, are looking at our economy and saying, yeah, it ain't looking too good. 50% say, no, it sucks. But she's ahead in the polls, right? That's what you're believing? So you're telling me that her voters, which make up the people, who think it's great, only in that 25%. Really?
Excellent or in good condition. That leaves 75% of American voters, no matter what their party, who are unhappy.
Yeah, that's Republican and Democrat. 75% of Americans say the economy sucks.
With the way things currently are in the economy. And when it comes to the presumptive November matchup, a new Wall Street Journal report shows voters trust Trump more to handle the economy, and it's not even close.
More people trust Trump with the number one issue in the country, and it's not even close. So how can there possibly be any poll that shows Kamala Harris leading? Who are you talking to? If you talk to 10 people and they say, "Whoa, man, the economy sucks. We need Trump," and out of those 10 people, 2 of them say, "Man, we need to do more about baby removal." You thinking those people are carrying the vote? Because if nobody thinks but if more than half of the people think she can't fix the economy, and it's absolutely going to get worse at this point, where is she getting this support? Who are these people? I saw this article today. Let me show you this. And this is pretty funny. It says Kamala Harris gained 7 points in the national poll, and a swing state vice president could boost her even more. This was tonight at 6:38 p.m., right before we went on. And it says, is it a case of Kamala momentum? That's the question raised by the new presidential polling from YouGov and University of Massachusetts. The last time the pollsters were in the field in January, basically 8 months ago, President Trump led Biden 43-39 when leaners were factored in. And then it goes down here to say, however, now the new survey conducted July 29th to August 1st, Trump is behind Kamala Harris 46-43. Huh? How are you selling that to us? Furthermore, when Kennedy voters were asked to choose between the top candidates, more of them said they would vote for Trump than for Harris. I don't get it. I mean, it's amazing to me how they sell these polls when they have this kind of information. It just doesn't make any mathematical sense. How can she be ahead and getting momentum when people say she can't handle the economy? Are we watching people closely here? Are you guys watching how that none of this stuff makes any sense and how they're basically trying to cover for her? And when they ask people the actual questions, hey, listen, I'm not going to ask who you're going to vote for. Who can handle the economy better? Oh, Trump. Yeah, definitely Trump. Who can handle immigration better? Oh, yeah, that's Trump. Really? Then what did those other numbers mean? It's all BS.
12-point difference there. There's no margin of error on the planet where it's even close.
Ain't close.
All right, let's move forward with Ari Fleischer. He's been inside the White House, Fox News contributor, former White House press secretary. This is a tough day for everybody. And it can be said at this point that we can remember the policies that didn't deliver this, and we were in a pandemic, a coronavirus pandemic, and we didn't see this.
Yeah, Harris, it's not just been a bad day. It's been a bad 3 days. This sell-off began on Thursday last.
Yep, don't forget that. That negative 1,000 that we talked about early doesn't even count what happened last week.
And since then, the market's dropped 2,000 points. So it's down 1,000 today, but Thursday and Friday added to it. 5% hit, 5% drop in the stock market since Thursday last week. Now, 3 days does not a recession make, but it sure makes you keep your eye on whether or not we're heading into a recession. And if you're the incumbent, which Kamala Harris is, this is perilous. You want stability, you want peace instead of peace and stability. She's got 2 wars around the world, maybe more, and potentially a recession. This is very bad news for any incumbent.
All right. And most importantly, because, I mean, all the candidates...
And the reason why he says incumbent is she can't extricate herself from Dementia Joe. Everything they have done, she's been, applauding him. Joe and I did this. Joe and I did that. We're the last 2 people in the room. We're together on every decisions. Okay, well then you own this. You absolutely own this. You were the one who said that. Not anybody else. You and Joe said we worked together hand in hand for 3.5 years. Never mind you basically covering up everything about him. This is your economy.
And the race and all that aside, this is bad news for American families, for American workers.
Sure.
You take a look at what happens when people they go to the mall, but they don't spend money. That's part of the problem here. And so companies are starting to feel that. I want to get to something that's
really big. If you guys want to see some real carnage, look up what's going on in the commercial real estate business, not the single family houses. Look up what's going on in commercial real estate, malls and retail space, and how that's basically tanking right now because people aren't shopping as much, and so they are not generating as much revenue, and then they have to leave. And never mind the fact in California that the theft is chasing people out.
Former President Trump posted on his Truth Social just a short time ago this morning. Stock markets are crashing. Job numbers are terrible. We are headed into World War III. And we have 2 of the most incompetent leaders in history. He puts leaders in quotes, as you see. This is not good. Of course, there is a massive market downturn. Kamala is even worse than what he calls Crooked Joe. Markets will never accept the radical left lunatic that destroyed San Francisco and California as a whole. Next move, the Great Depression of 2024. You can't play games with markets. Kamala, crash. Your response?
Yeah, I don't know that we're heading into World War III or the Great Depression, but we are in bad times. And I'm glad to see President Trump focus on that economic message. That is the Democrats' greatest vulnerability. And this has been an issue that has haunted previous presidents. When the economy...
What I'm going to show you in a little bit takes the first half of his statement away when he said, well, you don't know if it's going to be World War III. Yeah, that looks like it's coming.
It goes south, when the market tanks, when fear of recession and the psychology of recession kicks in, people start to sit on their money, which creates a cycle that makes a recession more likely. So again, I don't like to panic over these things. We've all been around long enough to know markets go up and markets go down. We've been through previous significant drops in the market only to see them rebound and come back up. We don't know how this one is going to go. But certainly 3 months before an election, it is not good news for the incumbent. It's not good news, as you point out, for America. And it's also something that means Kamala Harris needs to take questions. She needs...
Absolutely. She's hiding, and she's only hiding because the media allows her to hide. What is your idea, and how are you going to get us out of this? If you were to be elected, Miss Harris, what are you going to do different? Are you going to drill? Are you going to frack? Are you going to do all these things? Say it. We want to hear it.
To let America see how she thinks about this. What does she think? Why isn't this heading toward a recession? What encouraging signs does she see? But she won't take questions. She won't expose the American people to her mind. And that makes you wonder if it's because she's hiding, that she's not capable of showing how she thinks, how she operates in a spontaneous, extemporaneous way. Joe Biden couldn't do it. She won't do it. And that's a problem.
Yeah. See, Joe was mentally impaired, so he couldn't do it. People think Kamala is stupid. I don't think she's stupid. I think she's evil. I think she knows exactly what her plan is. I think she knows exactly how she wants to do things with this Green New Deal and all this crap. I think she understands it's already bad. I can just make it a little bit worse just to get what I need to get to and take 70 to 80% of your money. Her words, not mine. I think we can talk about 70 to 80% tax rate. What? Is nobody in the media calling her out about that? Nope, nobody is.
I don't know if it's as critical to hear from her. I know Hillary Vaughn said that, there have been calls for her to speak today on this issue, as it is to have something to report to us that's good that she can do and that she's already begun doing. Because otherwise, it's just more words in a political campaign, and she's only been in it for a few days. But she's owned every piece of what we're living right now because, as the president says, she's always the last person in the room when the big decisions are made and they affect us. Let's stay with the topic, though, of her record. The VP, turned presumptive Democratic nominee, is about to announce a vice presidential pick of her own. Could be as early as today. We don't know. Tomorrow, Kamala Harris is set to appear with her running mate, potentially, in Philadelphia.
Good luck if she picks Josh Shapiro. There's been all kinds of dirt going on around about Josh Shapiro that ain't good.
Her calendar has been packed with events just like the one set for tomorrow. Carefully scripted. Critics say that's no way to convince Americans she's ready to be commander-in-chief. Harris has chatted with reporters, but still not done in-depth interviews. Now, this is what Ari is just now telling us on this one topic of the economy, but apparently not on anything. No news conference have we seen from her yet. The pressure for her to face the press is growing. Watch this.
She hasn't answered a single question, not one single question by the media, Ed. She's only had one single unscripted moment Thursday night at Andrews Air Force Base welcoming those hostages back. And she served up the kind of incomprehensible word salad for which she's become famous. When she has to encounter the media, and I'm sure you're going to insist that she does, Kamala Harris has only been the nominee for 2 weeks and hasn't answered a single question.
Ari.
Yeah, that is a heart of the issue. And the American people deserve to see where this new candidate stands and what she...
But you would think not, because all we're seeing from the other media people is they don't push for it. They don't say, listen, you need to get out there. You need to talk to people. And everybody knows she hasn't spoken to anybody, but she's hiding. She is running the same presidential campaign that they ran for Dementia Joe. Just keep him in the back, in the basement, do some scripted things, and everything should be fine. But how can it be? How can it possibly be fine?
She is capable of, but she's trying to run out the clock. And one of the reasons she's trying to run out the clock is because she knows and her staff knows that the American press corps will let her do so. Could you imagine if the White House press corps went into rebellion and demanded, where is she? How come she won't? And if all the stories are only about Harris won't take questions, Harris is hiding, as opposed to what she wants them to cover, that would mean the press corps is taking Donald Trump's side.
Imagine that. A press corps taking a side. when I heard him say that, I went, oh my God, we are in such trouble, because they start measuring things about who's taking what side. We've seen what the left media does. We understand how in the tank they are, but it's now turned into an us against them type thing. I mean, it's been that way for some time, but now they're not even trying to fake it. Now it's just like, we cannot let Donald Trump be president. We need to do anything we can, even if we need to prop up this cackling, smiling woman and pretend as though she's got a chance to stand toe-to-toe with this guy in a debate about real issues. Do I think Trump should debate her? Absolutely. If the moderators stick to the issues. It's right now, we're the first week of August. I understand that they may be looking at doing something in September, but now would be the time before early voting to get her on the record as to what she's going to do about the issues. Don't talk about stupid crap about DEI and racism and baby removal. No. People don't care about that. If he goes into that interview or that debate on ABC and one of these guys is moderating like George Stephanopoulos, all they're going to do is give her softball questions that nobody cares about. It's crazy. She's hiding in the basement. Somebody asked me a question. Okay, this is a good. Why is Google Gemini analyzing this chat with the false claim that half the viewers watching this feed are Kamala fans? Yep. That's what we're up against, people. That's how it's getting to be right now. They've deployed an army of bots out there to basically determine what's being said. It's crazy. Hey, Kamala, get yourself out there and answer the issues that you and your boss created. Yeah, they absolutely should. The passage of time. The press is no longer the press. They are the enemy. Yeah, it should be simple. What are you going to do? Well, actually, they wouldn't have to ask her, because they could play the video of what that woman said. The woman that Joe sent out there and said, yeah, we're just pretty much going to do the same thing. We're just going to continue. Stay the course. That's what you want to do, huh? Stay the course. They just want to finish us off at this point. Tell the truth. You just want to finish us off. So, let's see. Next video here. Let me go to Cuphead. Yeah, I can't say the word because, yeah, they would have a problem. And it's funny because everyone's like, people have asked questions. What should we do? What should we do? All I'm going to do is direct you to March or April of 2020. And whatever you were doing for your family in March or April of 2020, or what you ended up having to do, start making those arrangements. I mean, seriously. We laughed about it, but get some toilet paper. Get some spaghetti. Get stuff in the house that's going to last for a while in case things get really squirrely. There's no sense in not being prepared. Again, there were a bunch of people on this morning who couldn't get into their accounts on TD Ameritrade and Schwab. They probably wanted to make a few trades. Get out of this. I need to dump it. Yeah, you saw what happened. They keep running. China has bought so much land, owned so many companies, controls so much. I'm sure even media, this is frightening. You know, it just showed you these guys walking around with $250,000 in gold. Where the hell did they get that? And what were they going to do with it? Before they got caught at a traffic stop, where were they going with $250,000 in gold? These were newcomers. These weren't guys running a business. To me, the story kind of half ended. Like, okay, they got caught. Where were they going? What were they going to do? What was their intention? You just don't drive around in a car with $250,000 worth of gold. Our media won't even report it. That was from Zero Hedge, which is another website that basically is a news headline. He's like a Drudge type guy. Hang tight. Make sure you get plenty of food. stock up, and also stock up on that other thing, because if you've been seeing what's going on in England, I can't even say it here because the censors are so tough, but if you've been seeing what's been going on in England, if there hasn't been a neon light that basically is promoting the Second Amendment, that is it. That is it. I don't need to say anything else. I can just show you 4 or 5 of those videos. Well, if I could, but you have to look them up on your own. If you saw 4 or 5 of those videos and what's going on in England, you'd be like, oh my God. First you got to pray, then you better get ready. I'd still get ready here because now you know that there are newcomers driving around with $250,000 with gold. Guys who walked across the border because they were just hopeless. Man, that's the best testimony you'd ever have. Come on into my church and tell me how you came waltzing across the border with just the shoes on your feet and the clothes on your back, and in a couple months you got 250 grand in gold. God is good. Or what else were you doing? And that's the part that's scary. That's the part that nobody wants you to talk about. Oh, you're sounding like a conspiracy theorist. No, I'm not. They had $250,000 in gold. How many of you who've been here for some time are walking around or driving around with $250,000 in gold in the backseat of your car? So that's not a conspiracy theorist. That's truth. And you have to believe they got caught, which means there are others who aren't getting caught. What are they doing with $250,000 in gold? How many people are driving around with $250,000 in gold? Who were their friends when they came across the border? Who were they, hanging out with? No one's asking these questions. So yeah, I'm kind of concerned because I've got a wife and I've got a daughter and I've got grandkids, and I'm like, nobody is looking out for us. Nobody. Our government is not looking out for us, not looking out for our best interest. They're just going to stay the course. They're just going to keep doing what they're doing. Now, I had another video here I was going to go with, but it's more of the same. It's Charles Payne talking about what happened today and everything. I don't think I need to show that. I'm going to jump ahead, and I want to show you something else regarding a poll. And I want you to see this.
That's really important because some things in this race have not changed. The idea that you would be better off financially if Trump were elected, Trump still has a big advantage over now Kamala Harris.
How? I just showed you that some recent polls said she's winning. How can she be winning if people are saying, one, they trust Trump better with the economy, and this is CBS News. CBS News says, if Harris wins, will you be financially better off? Only 25% of people said that. 45% say Trump wins. Financially worse off. More people say Harris. Stay about the same, 31%. So you're telling me she's winning the polls with most people saying, oh my God, what am I going to do if she gets elected?
That and the idea that his policies would slow or decrease the number of migrants trying.
Only 6% of people said that his policies would increase migrants, newcomers. 52% of people, both parties, say she would, who would decrease the border crossings. 72% say Trump. Have no effect. These people are idiots. 30%. So you tell me how she can possibly be ahead. Who are they polling, getting completely different data? You got over almost 3/4 of the country saying, oh no, he'd be better at shutting this stuff down. You got way more people, as you saw with the Harris Faulkner poll, that way better people say he's better with the economy. So who are the Nimrod numbskulls that are saying that he's ahead? I mean, she's ahead.
Across the border, that he still has an edge on.
Doesn't make any sense. No sense whatsoever. Nothing is making sense except for the reality of where we are right now. I wanted to show you this because this is kind of scary. Kiev, which you know is over in that country where we sent a bunch of money to, is getting bombarded with missile fire today. This is as of 6 o'clock tonight, our time, just before we came on. 6 o'clock, they're getting bombarded. Jack Posobiec says he's been told that 5 to 6 Americans have been injured in the attack on the al-Assad air base in Iraq. Several of these Americans are in surgery. So, what you may not know is they, not sure who yet, has bombed the al-Assad air base in Iraq and have hurt 5 to 6 Americans who are now in surgery. Anything from President Biden? I know I've been on here since about 6:45 getting ready. Maybe something has come up. Let me see if Jack has posted anything new. Let's see here. More about Kamala. Did you hear about that story, by the way? That this Secret Service director decided she wanted to hide the story about the cocaine in the White House. She wanted to bury it. She was pissed off that it got out. But as of right now, there is nothing more about what's going on over in Iraq, the bombing. I did see that Iraq it's trending. So let me just look at this, see if anybody has said anything. At least 2 rockets have struck the U.S. Ain al-Assad in Iraq, which houses American troops. The rockets were allegedly fired by proxies of Iran. Oh, goody. We got our economy tanking over here. We have the volatility index spiking basically at DEFCON 3. We got a bombing at our Air Force Base. Not Iran's, not Israel's. Somebody takes a shot at us. We got bombs dropping in Kiev. And our president and vice president are ghosts. Absolute ghost. So let's continue here. Is there anything else in here? Breaking just announced several U.S. personnel were injured or killed in an attack on a U.S. military base in Iraq. World War III. Where's the commander-in-chief? Where's Joe? Where's Kamala? Who's in charge of the Situation Room? We don't know. I don't know. If I'm bringing this to you, I'm sorry. I didn't want to be the person who just brought this up. But, oh my gosh, this is what's happening. This is what's happening as we speak, as we sit here right now. And I guess this is what they decided to do. They decided to put out a picture of Kamala and Joe sitting in the Situation Room. Who believes that's what that picture looks like? Who believes that's what's really going on right now? It's insane. It's absolutely insane. Marjorie Taylor Greene says, they can control the stock market. They can control the information on the internet and erase and change it, which we've seen them doing it, and they can control the elections. Yet they put you $35 trillion in debt and force you to pay for tens of millions of people they let in our country and the foreign wars they wage. Do you think America is a free country? We're getting bombed. Our financial markets are in the toilet. Our president and vice president don't speak to the American people. Our electronics go down on some of the major trade houses, what do you call it, investment bank houses in the country. People can't move money, can't access it, can't do anything. And then some people want to say, I'm fear-mongering? Okay. Chris Silla, I think he used to be with MSNBC. I'm not sure what he's doing right now. Kamala Harris has been the de facto presidential nominee for 2 weeks. In that time, as best as I can tell, she has done 0 media interviews and held 0 press conferences or even taken a random question from a reporter. That was at 5 o'clock p.m. So some in the media who basically have some sense about them are going, hey man, this ain't right. We're getting bombed. Israel's getting bombed. The Ayatollah said he's going to take it to Iran. All of this is happening. And our vice president and president aren't saying anything. They're not letting us know. What the hell's going on? This is from the RNC research. It says several U.S. personnel injured in rocket attack against base housing U.S. troops in Iraq. 3 officials tell Reuters. And Kamala and Biden are nowhere to be found, except a picture that they want to put up. How comfortable do you feel as an American given what you've seen in the last, I'd say 72 hours over the weekend, are you worried about football right now? I mean, it's absolutely insane right now what's going on. I don't get it. I don't get why people aren't screaming about that. We have been in World War III, hey John, for a few years now. Yeah, she's not going to be the one. Georgina thinks they're going to trade her out. Bet they were doing that a while back too, remember? Yeah, absolutely. They are attempting to hold their destruction down by censorship and control. Bingo. Bingo. Kamala is a bad choice to face off with anything strong than a flea fart. Everyone going broke before the election is what they're trying to do. Seriously, we need to get rid of Biden and Harris ASAP. And that was something I said earlier. We're stuck with them. They ain't going anywhere until at least January of 2025. Who knows where things are going to be by that time? Now, I promise you I'm not going to leave you on a bad note. I couldn't do that. I couldn't leave you going, oh, God, what are we doing? Let me give you some good news, or at least change the subject at this point. Something happened today that was really monstrously huge. I mean, monstrously. I'm not sure if you guys know who Aiden Ross is. I'm a little bit too old for his stuff. You might be a little bit too old for Aiden Ross's his shtick and what he does. But Aiden Ross, just like with Amber Rose, is arguably one of the biggest influencer/streamers on the planet. He's got something just like with Amber Rose, 10, 20 million people that follow him. And he's a huge, huge, huge Trump fan. Today, he decided, and Trump agreed to it, that he would do a live stream. He does a live stream today. He went to Mar-a-Lago, has this gorgeous wrapped Trump Make America Great Again vehicle. And he had 580,000 concurrent viewers. Let me just say that again. 580,000 concurrent viewers. That is absolutely insane. Guy's killing it, making all kinds of money. So, want to show you a little bit, just about a couple minutes of what he and Trump did today at the White House, at Mar-a-Lago, the Southern White House. And I'm going to tell you why this is important. This is a fully wrapped Cybertruck. This kid, like I said, he's making tons of money, and he put all kind of Make America. He plays the radio with him so he can hear a song. I had to mute that and put some other music on there because, of course, YouTube would not let me play that music.
Okay, Aiden.
That is important. Why is that important? Well, this guy, with his gazillion followers, 20 million, 30 million followers, there is nobody on the left. There's nobody that Kamala is going to bring in. And I know some people would say, well, you know, she brought in Megan Thee Stallion. No. Megan Thee Stallion was a paid performer. Aiden Ross is a huge Make America Great Again fan. He's a supporter of Trump's. He worked for months to get this entire thing approved. He wanted to make sure that Trump was willing to sit down with him, and he had to go in and sell Trump as to why this was a good thing to do. It wasn't like he just called him up. He wasn't a member of the press and decided that, you know, we're just going to go ahead and get this interview with Trump. No, not at all. So they had to basically work together, get it approved. He's not being paid. Check this out. So I had to play some alternative music because obviously I can't play California Dreaming because it's a copyrighted piece of music. So right now they're just listening to music in the car and just jamming to it. California Dreaming by the Mamas and the Papas, I think is what Moms and the Pops, whatever, Cass Elliot. And they're just listening to some music. That's my overdub. I just thought it was so cool that this kid shows up at Mar-a-Lago and brings Trump in front of his, you know, tens of millions of followers, and it's all from his heart. He wanted to do this. He initiated it. It wasn't something that the Trump team put together. And I mean, the smile on this kid's face is just amazing. Now, they decided they're going to do a dance for TikTok. Amazing. I'm excited for that kid. I'm excited that he's opening an entire new audience to Trump. He just didn't come out. Notice something. He didn't just go sing a song. He just didn't do a video. He did the entire thing with Trump. Let his people see behind the scenes what was going on at Mar-a-Lago when he showed up. Came up with a wrapped vehicle with MAGA. This wasn't a paid endorsement. This was something that Trump had to vet and approve and say this could be beneficial to get the younger people to understand that MAGA is cool. It is okay. And then earlier he presented Trump with like a huge Rolex watch. I mean, the watch must have cost 50 grand, the Rolex that he gave him. So this wasn't someone taking a check. This was someone basically showing his support and love for MAGA and Donald Trump. Big difference. Somebody says, who is this Aiden guy? Look up Aiden Ross. Aiden Ross is the guy who's got a huge streaming population, and you can look him up on YouTube. He absolutely loves Donald Trump. I don't know how it happened, but now you've got a couple guys. You saw what happened with Jake Paul. Trump has got some of the biggest influencers on the planet on YouTube. I don't know how the guys upstairs are going to work this. This is going to be really interesting because Jake Paul and Aiden Ross are some serious big hitters on YouTube. Big hitters. And so what are they going to do? Basically censor them too? I don't know. But if they do, they have the voice to let people know what's going on. Let's see here. Young voters for Trump. We need them. We definitely need them. Westby Plain. Yeah, he's a Kick streamer. Kick is another network, but he posts some of his stuff on YouTube as well. Who Am I said, and they said his feed was over 500,000 people streaming, young people. That way more than all the networks. Yep, it was actually, I heard 580,000 concurrent viewers. Think about that. That's 580,000 people who are watching that stream of him and Trump, really personable. You know, it was very different. This wasn't Trump up on stage. This wasn't Trump that is basically doing something in the media. This is Trump dancing. Think about that. He's with the former and possibly next president of the United States, and they're doing a dance. He's sitting in a car and he's playing music. Albeit it's old. Most of the people won't know what California Dreaming is, but at least they'll see it. Not sure which channel I saw it on. You probably saw it on Kick, but he's also on YouTube as well. He's the #1 streamer, so absolutely. I'm waiting to have the absolute internet break. I know a lot of people thought it broke today with Aiden Ross, but I want to see him go on a podcast with Joe Rogan, only because of one thing. It's Joe Rogan. In fact, Aiden Ross may have more followers and subscribers than Joe Rogan, but it's a different demographic. We'd love to see that. They don't want us to know how many terrorist attacks under Joe and Kamala. Nope, not even showing it. Not even showing it. Yep, Jane, that was absolutely great for Trump. The left are trying to charge Trump with accepting gifts. He's not a politician. As of today, he's still a private citizen. You could send him a gift. Doesn't really matter. It wasn't a campaign gift. Makes me happy. Maybe we've got hope for our country. Apparently, the younger generation coming up are smart conservative types. They've got heads about them. And like I said earlier, I've been looking at the trolls that show up here, and I've looked at the trolls that show up on Twitter. And most of the time, they are weird people. I don't mean weird. That's why they're trying to call us weird. They're weirdos. Serious weirdos out there. Somebody go, I heard Joe Rogan. Let's see. He don't need Rogan now. Maybe not. Please stay safe, everyone, because what happened, this is a very good, hey lady, how you doing? If you haven't had a chance to watch what's going on in England. I beg of you, go look at some videos if you can find them. If you're not on Twitter, maybe you can get on Twitter without having an account. Just go to x.com and just search England, Birmingham, England. It was so bad today. A reporter, a female reporter, was doing a hit. She was talking about what was going on. And in the background, you can see these people doing nutty stuff. They're going absolutely crazy back there. And then they see her, this blonde white woman, doing an interview. They come running up. One guy's up on a motorcycle, and they're doing this to her. It got so bad, she got surrounded very quickly, and then the studio cut the feed. I hope she got out of there safely. It is going nuts in England right now. The only thing that's different between them and us is we've got 2A. We've got the Second Amendment. Those people are completely unarmed. They are helpless. They're picking up 2x4s. They're taking pipes out of the wall because it's going nuts. Venezuela, you know what's going on in Venezuela. You also know what's going on in Spain. And now tonight, you got bombs being exchanged between Lebanon, Iraq, Iran, and then our stock market pooping the bed. Let me just say something to you before I close here. When those three things have hit the volatility index, which I'm going to go back to right now and show you, okay? Those three things that hit this volatility index that closed at 38.57 today. Those three times. You understand that in those three times, let me see if I can go back all. If it'll do it. All right. So now you can see this a little bit better. So on the far right is today, number 3. Number 2 was, right when it happened in the pandemic. And then here was the crash of 2008. Those numbers spiked and crashed without there being any war. There was no war in 2008. We weren't funding one or participating in one. And that's what happened. In 2020, we obviously had this pandemic thing going on, but there was no war that we were funding that we know of or participating in. The third highest spike is today. And the war is just coming to our door. So if we're at number 3 on the volatility index, which nobody wants to talk about, and then for the last 3 days of trading, we've lost almost 2,000 points off the Dow. The NASDAQ dropped 1,000 or so today, which is the biggest drop in history. What I said this afternoon and what I'm telling you right now is begin looking at the indicators. I'm not trying to get people worried. I'm not trying to ring a bell. I'm saying do your own due diligence. Every time I do one of these shows, I try to bring you information and then tell you, go look this up. So if you want to look at the volatility index and dig into that, write it down. Go look at the volatility index and you'll see what's going on. Not me. Go look at videos in Germany, in Venezuela, and Spain. Go see what's going on around the world. Educate yourself. Make your decisions accordingly. And then also remember what happened in 2020. I brought up the whole toilet paper thing early because none of us would have ever imagined that. I didn't. I just went to the store one day and there was nothing there. There was no toilet paper. I don't want to be in that position ever again. I don't want you to be in that position ever again. So when people say you're fear-mongering or anything else, I'm just use your noggin. Don't listen to me. Go look at the indicators. See what's going on. And once you do that, once you start looking at those indicators and seeing things look very weird, things look very ominous, where there's actually the woman who came up with the whole SOM index. She even said, as you saw today, this doesn't look good. I don't mean to ring the bell or scare everybody, but get ready. Because this is the woman they're trying to push on us. And by the way, a bear market is opposite of a bull market. All right, everybody. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow night. Hopefully things get better, but if not, do what you need to do.